to work. So hi guys, and welcome to this episode of So You Think You Want to Buy a Sailboat? No, I'm not here to dish your dreams. I am just here to give you a little bit more information on what happened to us and maybe a different approach to buying a boat. So let's start with financing. Financing has a mystical, magical number of right around $125,000. If you're below $125,000, it's not going to be too bad to get a loan. If you're above $125,000, don't sell the house just yet. Because the problem is, A, if you sell the house, you don't have a stable residency. And B, they want to know that you have some roots so that you're not just going to buy a boat and run off with it. And then they got to chase you down. The other thing during financing is you don't want to tell the bank that you are going to be chartering your boat if you're going to be chartering your boat. And the reason for this is that there's two types of boat loans. One is a personal boat loan and the other is a commercial boat loan. And once the loan is established, it doesn't matter what you do with the boat from that point on. But if you go into it and you tell them that you're going to be chartering, they're just going to tell you, well, then you need a commercial loan and not a personal, loan. So it's kind of a catch-22 there. Commercial loans are much harder to get unless you've had a company that has been established and has good credit. Let's talk about it. Insurance. Everybody's done this, and most people are about right. It's right around 2% of your hull value, or what you're going to set your hull value at. You get a little bit off if you're a captain, and they know, they want to know in the insurance game that you have time in that vessel and that you have time in that size of vessel. So they're going to ask for all that kind of information from you. How long have you been sailing? What's the largest sailboat you've been running, and how long you've been doing it. And last but not least with insurance is get at least 3 quotes. Our quotes were so far apart, it wasn't even funny. We got all the quotes, put them all together, made sure we were comparing apples to apples, and then went with the one. We didn't necessarily go with the lowest one, but we went with the one that we felt covered us the best and gave us the best coverage to be able to go southbound. Because there's a cutoff point there. Some of them are the Tortugas, some of them are the Southern Caribbean. That just varies between them. But get three quotes and compare them and be prepared. When you purchase the boat, you can use regular insurance, but once you start chartering, you're gonna have to get a supplemental binder for charter insurance. But that's about it on insurance. I mean, there's no big secrets there. It's pretty much just like a car or a house. Buying a boat offshore. Some countries, if you buy the boat offshore, you're going to have to pay VAT tax. Some people say, oh, I can buy it offshore and I can avoid paying the tax here in the U.S. Let me just tell you, the tax man cometh. He is going to find you. Don't do it. It's not worth it. And actually in the United States, they can seize your vessel for not paying taxes. Some states in the U.S. you don't have tax. Here in Florida, we have what they call a tax, or a sales tax or use tax. So let's say you bring the boat from North Carolina, but if you're down here more than 6 months out of the year, you're going to get charged that use tax. So we just went ahead and bit the bullet, registered the boat where we're from our home port, and got the tax man all taken care of and out of the way right up front. Down here in Florida, they actually have a special branch, and these guys roll around in boats and just sit there and take pictures and go check the tax roll when they get back to the office and see if you've paid your taxes and how long that boat's been here. So, make sure you pay attention to that. It's not something you want to play with. So here's something that's been on my mind and kind of influenced me to make this video, and that is buying an ex-charter boat. Everybody's done, you know, their theories on ex-charter boats, and I'm just here to tell you that if you buy an ex-charter boat like a moorings or a sunsail, yes, you can save a lot of money. But there's also this little thing that a lot of people don't tell you about. It's called phase out, and that is that when a boat comes out of charter, it goes through what they call phase out. And basically, phase out is where they go through and they make a squawk, and a surveyor comes out and says this needs to be fixed, and they fix it. The problem is who fixed it and how they fixed it. Our boat came out of the Bahamas, and the repair fleet in the Bahamas was less than desirable. Panhead screws and flathead screw spots, things glued together that shouldn't be. I mean, bubble gum and baling wire type of repairs. It's just not. So we had to go through the boat. We had to change, you know, take steel screws out, put stainless steel screws in. We had to have the sail drives repaired properly, because even though it was in our contract that they would repair them, they didn't. There's just no two ways about it. So make sure that when you're making your deal, you keep it in the back of your head, you know, hey, I'm gonna have to go through this boat. So get a good surveyor. And that brings me to a whole nother point. Make sure the surveyor doesn't work for the charter company 80% of the time. You need a good surveyor that knows the boat. You know, there's surveyors that, you know, specialize in catamarans. There's surveyors that specialize in motor yachts. You know, don't get a motor yacht guy if you're buying a cat. You know, find somebody that's in there, but like I said, make sure that he doesn't work 80% of the time for the charter companies. So getting a good surveyor is really important. Our surveyor did a really good job. I found a few things even he had missed. He found a ton of things that I had missed. But getting a good survey, it's worth its weight in gold. But back to the phase out thing. When a boat comes out of phase out, supposedly all these repairs have been done. So you need to make sure that those repairs were done properly before you put your family on it and go traipsing across the you know, the Atlantic. You don't want to end up with a boat in the middle of the ditch out there. I can't say that all charter companies do their maintenance like the one that we bought it from, but honestly, that was probably some of the worst maintenance I've ever seen on a boat. If I was the owner of this boat through that charter company, I think I would have come down and looked at the boat before it got sold and said, hey, no, none of this is supposed to look like this. Let's get this repaired before we even continue listing this boat. But because in the long run, that owner's the one that's going to take the hit. But most of the time, they use that as a tax write-off and they roll it back into the next boat anyway. So sometimes they don't care. And that's another kind of a good point with charter boats. A lot of them are owned by corporations and not individuals, where an individual is going to be a lot harder to beat up on the price and repair versus a corporation, because a corporation at the end of the year wants their tax write-off and just wants, or at the end of the phase out, wants their tax write-off off and wants to be able to buy the next boat to keep going. So you've got a lot more wiggle room with a corporation than you do with a private individual owner. So you'll save a lot of money if you can get a boat pre-phase out and you're handy and can go through it like we did and just repair everything that needed to be repaired. Personally, that'd be the way I do it. However, I've been in the marine industry for years and I'm fairly decent at fixing things. So there's a whole yin and yang side to that. If you're not any good at fixing things and you have no idea about you know, maintenance type things, you're going to learn it when you get on the boat, but don't just jump on the boat pre-phase out and think that you're going to get home with it, because that could end up putting you in a world of hurts. Last but not least, brokers. You know, they're not all bad. There's plenty of good ones out there. You know, don't be afraid to walk away. Pick a broker that you feel good with and you're comfortable with, but most importantly, pick a broker that doesn't work for the charter company or who's not the listing agent. Because what happened with us is that we went ahead and just grabbed a broker that worked for the charter company, and in the end, where things were getting nitty-gritty and getting down to it, it felt like we were working against the charter company and the broker instead of the broker working for us. That's it in a nutshell. Basically, that's a little bit of our experience. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll try to answer them, because I know we didn't cover everything. If there's something you want a better segment on, we can do that too. Don't forget to subscribe and like. See you next time.
Space between where smiling high is where you'll find me if I get to go.
And B,